Meggan. I'm so happy for us to connect. I know we just got off one of our CEO strategy planning calls, and I just want to take the time to first introduce you to my community. So if you could just say who you are and what it is that you're doing in the world so people can get to know a little bit about you and your amazingness.
Sure. My name is Meggan Hill, and I'm the food writer, photographer, chief taste tester at culinaryhill.com. I blog a lot of Midwestern food, and I'm also in culinary school.
Awesome. I love that, chief taster. And today I would love to just talk to you a little bit about your experience that we've had in the last year together. And I'm so excited that we're getting to move into another year together again, but really talking about your experience in your business and us working together one-on-one in the mentorship lab, and also just like unpacking like the retreat experience. Like so many things have happened in a year. So I would love to just ask you some questions if that's cool with you.
Please ask away.
Okay. So my first question for you would be, tell me what was happening in your world before we actually started working together.
Right. So I was on your email list for about a year before I hired you, and my blog was growing, and I felt like I was getting success and kind of figuring out how I would do that, but I just felt like there was something missing from the equation. So I knew what I was supposed to do, but I didn't know why I was supposed to be doing it, or why I should care, or what would fill me up and make me feel like I was doing something useful. Not that providing recipes isn't useful, but I personally just felt like there was a gap there. And every time I got an email from you or heard you speak, I was like, that's the girl, like she's the one. And I decided to hire you. And it just was like a perfect fit. And I knew that, I mean, I didn't really understand how you were going to help me figure out what I was looking for, but I trusted that you would, and you did.
Yeah.
And guess what? The answer was inside me all along.
It's so true. I know that was one of the things that you said at our first retreat together. You're like, whoa, I just found all of, like, I'm done. Like, I can just go on now. But what were some of, like, paint the picture for me, some of the struggles, the challenges, frustrations that were happening for you while you were kind of feeling like, what's my why? There's got to be, I remember, like, there's got to be a deeper meaning. Like, what were things that were frustrating for you before?
Well, there was just like before that, even I just had a lot of stress around like running my business and the childcare piece and trying to be like a complete person and get everything done. And then just, I felt like I was putting content into a vacuum, and I felt like I wasn't having an impact on the world. And I liked what I was doing, but when I looked back, I wanted to see that I had done something useful with my time. Yeah. And I just wanted to, it's that I was here, that I'd made a difference in somebody's life. And it wasn't just because I posted, little smokies, that I actually did something that connected with people or helped other people connect or brought some meaning to other people's lives.
Yeah. No,
Did I answer the question?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because I know that was a big question that you had, was just around, like, who am I talking to?
Yes.
And like,
why do they care?
Why am I here? Like, just all of those pieces. It's like you had some success in your business, but there wasn't the, like, you hadn't connected to the heart or the soul of like what you wanted to create and do in the world.
Well, and I think it's part of, I don't know if it's Maslow's hierarchy, but when certain needs are met, or you achieve a certain amount of success, you get to that point where you start asking the bigger questions. So now I'm not asking like, how do I make this work? How do I take good photos? How do I make money? Now it's like, why am I, like, it's just an innate human need. When you get to a certain point, you start wondering those things.
Yeah, no, I love that, because it's true that there's these different levels when we build our own businesses, right? Like, it's like, what's an opt-in? What's that? Like, all of these technical questions, and can I even do it? And you've already all the questions. And then you get to this place where you're like, oh my gosh, I figured it out, and I'm making money. And now what's next?
What am I going to do now?
Yeah. So that question doesn't end. So I'm so curious to even dive a little bit deeper. I think that I'm trying to think of what the thing, were there any hesitations that you had? Because I know we have a mutual friend, from My Healthy Dish. And it's so funny because I introduced her to her first green smoothie, and she introduced me to Instagram. So it's like this little web of connections and things.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, you knew you wanted a mentor, but did you have any hesitations before actually saying yes to investing in yourself and getting support in this?
Well, I think up until I hired you, I had never asked my husband for permission to spend money in my business before. And so I took him out to dinner and I was like, by the way, I didn't even know how much you were. I was guessing based on what Mai said, which was like not quite less than half of what it actually was, but I didn't even have the number. And I was just like, by the way, do you think? But I knew he would say it was fine. And I never really had any hesitations. I think the only thing that tripped me up is I felt like there were certain people, certain bloggers where I had to be like, by the way, I'm doing this and I'm spending this much money. And I was hesitant because I knew they'd think I was crazy.
Yeah.
I think that was my only hesitation, is like what other people thought. And now it's like laughable. Why would I, one, care, two, tell anyone? Like,
Right.
I don't owe anything to anyone.
Yeah.
But I think it was just that I felt like I was making this huge investment in myself and I was making these changes, and I want other people to do that too. So I wanted to tell them and give them the chance to make the same decision. But that's not really how it went.
Yeah, totally. I love how you like swooned your husband. You're like, okay, let's go out to dinner. Let's get like comfortable. Yeah. And I still do that to this day, sometimes, not all the time, but definitely in the beginning when I made some of those first couple investments. And he'd be like, oh, maybe you should do that next year when you're making more money. I'm like, no, like in my gut, in my heart, I just feel like this is the right next move. And so if you're not on board, I'll figure out the money some other way, like just some other magical way. And I think it's so important, though, a desire that we have is to enroll people in our vision, right? Like, it's not even about like, can I spend the money? But it's like, you're just wanting other people to believe in you, like to believe that you have what it takes to take it to that next level. And so it's like bringing those people in that matter to you, but ultimately it doesn't, like, we shouldn't care what other people think, even though we do. And that was actually a conversation my husband and I had at the end of last year. I tend to have those times where I'm like, oh, I don't want to post on social media, or I feel like egotistical, or like, I just like, I don't ever want to be that. I want to add value. And my husband will sometimes kind of like smirk or laugh or like, what are you doing? Doing like a selfie photo and the end of this year, he's like, just like F it to everyone what they think, including me, like him. Like it does, even if I like think something or laugh or like, it doesn't, like, you need to do you, because like when you are like fully yourself and out in the world, that's when everything like shifts and mountains move and change. And so we really do have to be in that, like, just like filtering out the noise of what everyone else is thinking about what we're doing. So I love that.
Well, and I remember this one person in particular, I told her, I'm like, she's like, how much? And I was like, well, blah, blah, blah. And then she said, well, what are you going to get out of it? And I said, well, I already got on my first podcast. And she was like, okay, not worth it, but it's fine.
Yeah, totally. And that's one thing that I'd love for you to talk about is what were some of the results that you've created in our time working together. I know we just ended up doing a top of the year strategy call today and just like going through your wins of the last 12 months. So I would love for you to just unpack some of your big wins in our time working together.
Yeah. So first of all, hiring other people, which I knew I needed to do anyway. I got a nanny to help with childcare. I have a full-time assistant now. She started part-time, but now she's full-time. And then, so I also have a couple of other like part-time people that are doing photography and writing. So just building the team, which I wanted to do, but sometimes you just need a little push to actually do it. We had a couple of retreats, so I got to go away and just focus on time and space to think and dream, our favorite phrase.
Yes.
So that was really helpful. What else did I do? I'm forgetting everything, Jadah.
Well, I think a big piece that I'm really proud of is the body piece of like taking care of yourself, like putting yourself on the top of your to-do list. I know that's not why you hired me, but I really look at, I'm a holistic business coach, that I look at the whole woman behind the business, and you're just a different woman. And so I would love for you to just share some of the things that you weren't doing and now you are doing that are like true habits and rituals of like, it's like a part of who you are now that you didn't do before.
Yeah, so that is totally true. Focusing on myself and my health and well-being. And I always wanted to exercise, but only for the wanting to exercise part. And then, and also wanted to focus on eating healthy. And I tried a lot of different things, even since talking to you. You know, I cycled through a few, you know, I don't even remember, Green Plate, whatever it was called, Green Chef. But yeah, I finally found that a combination of hot yoga and running and eating clean really is magical for me. And it's just, I make it a priority now to take care of myself. So I launched an ebook, my first digital product. So that was a huge thing too.
Yes. And that was like the number one reason why
I hired.
And it's so funny because you did that at the very
end. It's like the last 25th hour.
Yeah. But there's this piece of that you needed all these other, like that CEO mindset to really take care of yourself, to fuel your business and your personal life, and making that time to make it happen. And then there are also two other big things. You know, I'm all about leading with love in business, and love over metrics. So it's like love first, then the numbers follow. But you actually had some pretty amazing growth in the numbers department too. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So I ended 2016 with 1.2 million page views, and I decided I'm going to try to double that. I know it's crazy, but I just will. And yeah, so at the end of 2017 in December, I had 2.9 million page views. So, and I think a lot of that is I've hired people to help me with the content, even if it's just the photography, or I have somebody help write my newsletter now, so I don't have to worry about it. So I can put more high quality content up, which is really driving my growth.
Yeah. And I love that you shared the part about hiring more people that will actually help. And you have to do it in a strategic way, right? Because you don't want to spend so fast that you're like, you have nothing left. But doing it, that's that CEO mindset where it's like, oh, if I hire someone to do the things that actually, they drain me. There were a lot of things that we were unpacking of like, oh, this just doesn't excite me. It doesn't light me up. Here's what I love to do. Hiring people to do those other things where they actually love to do the things that drain you. And your business grows and expand, because as one person, you can only do so much. And then you kind of hit that window of capacity. And so you really, I mean, you've like CEO'd it up and just like really growing an amazing team and sharing your vision with them and what's important to you. And then there is also revenue growth, right?
Right. Yes. So did you want me to share that?
What, I mean, even just like doubling, it's whatever you feel comfortable.
Yeah, I doubled. I'm gonna double again. Yeah.
Yes.
I'll go with that. I more than doubled. I think I probably 3x'd it.
Yeah. I think that's what you wrote in your thing, that you 3x'd traffic and you 3x'd revenue and grew an amazing team. And you have like a right-hand woman who's awesome.
I do.
Awesome. Cool. What would you say, just from, you know, the first time that we came together and we kickstarted with our visionary retreat in Sausalito, California, and just kind of sharing your experience and ahas or insights from that?
Yeah, so it used to be really hard for me to get away from my family, and I felt so guilty. And then after that retreat, I found so much in myself and felt so fulfilled after doing it that I realized how important it is. And then just through the different exercises that you did, I found out that there's actually a lot of information within me. I just have to find it. So the questions that I'm wondering are usually there. The answers are there.
Yeah.
It was a really magical weekend.
And I think that piece of what we talk about, creating time and space to think and dream, it's like we really do have to step away from the day-to-day noise and busyness of our personal lives, our professional lives, to actually hear the answers, right? To like guide ourselves into that place. Because if you asked yourself that question while you're like in the middle of sending a blog post out and all, you know, doing all of those things, like you're not in that space to really receive like what's really true for you. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love that. I'm trying to think of, what did you like the best about working with me?
Well, just you being able to pick your brain and get your thoughts on everything, because your opinion really matters to me. So I just liked that the best. I can just always ask Jadah what she thinks.
Yeah. I know we have our little Voxer relationship too.
Yeah. I mean, it's really helpful. So I feel like there's not a lot of people, you know, it's a solo business thing. And I mean, I have an assistant, but there's just some things that I have questions about that only you can answer. And I feel like now I know you so well, and we can skip all the dating and we can just go to the bedroom.
It goes straight to the bedroom. I love that.
What's your
And that's the
metaphor?
thing. And we have like personal, like voice messages back and forth and those in between moments, because when we're running a business, and even for me, like I have my coaches, I have my mastermind people, you just need that feedback of people that are not necessarily in your team to really think of those bigger strategic questions that are going on that you have to make in your business. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Cool. And then I'm trying to think of, I'm just like looking at different questions. Okay, so were there any specific insights or strategies that I shared with you during our work together that really stood out to you or like stuck with you? I feel like so much.
I feel like there's so many. Like I wish I was prepared for this call. I mean, I think one thing is it's like the mindset of getting it done, like the top priority. So there's like all these other things that you could do, but what is it that you actually should do? So I have this long list of 1,000 things, but what is the one thing that I really need to do right now?
Yeah.
So, and I think just we had like the weekly check-ins on Facebook where it's like, what are your top 3 priorities? And that was really helpful for me, because if I don't sit down and think, okay, what is the thing that I actually need to do today or this week? I'm going to do everything else. And sometimes I still do everything else, but but just even trying to remember, like, this is the thing that I really need to do.
Yeah. And I've noticed, because we kickstarted another year of working together, and I can see that the way that your brain is already thinking, it's thinking in the way that we really worked on last year. I'd be like, here's my Q1 focus. It's just this one thing. And here's Q2, and just really being able to balance that, being more realistic with your time and priorities. And then you actually get the results that you want, because you're not doing a million different things.
Like if I can do like the 3 things that I really want to do, like I'm so excited.
And then you have more time, not only to you're running 4 times a week, you're doing hot yoga, and you're also spending quality time with your kids, like volunteering in their class. Like those are the things that it seems like, oh, is that what you should be celebrating when you're talking about business growth and working with a business mentor? But those are the things that really light my soul up when I get most excited, is that your business priorities and your dreams are happening, but not at the cost of compromising your health and your relationships. And I feel like you really owned that last year, and you're already stepping into that fully in 2018 too.
Yeah.
So I'm just so proud of you, because I just love you so much.
No, it's been a year.
And then I'm trying to think, if you were to think about other people, who would you say is a type of person that could benefit from working with a mentor like me?
Well, I think somebody that has achieved a certain level of success, financial, traffic, otherwise, and is trying to feels like there's something missing. So whether it's they don't have their community, or they're not connecting the way that they want to, or they feel personally like something is not there, I think they could really find success working with you, because you can address all of those things. So, yeah.
And what would you say to someone if they were thinking about working with me in that capacity of just like,
well, besides like, yes, you should do it, I would say get on her email list. And if everything that she says is like vibrating in your heart, it's probably a fit.
I love that.
Like, you had this longest sales page ever. And I was just like devouring every word. And I was like, yes, this is the person. This is my person.
Yeah, I loved it so much. And I mean, we had our retreat in Tulum, and I just feel like you just keep like shedding more of who you are. Like it's the most beautiful thing to witness.
Yeah, something's happening.
So is there anything else that you would want to add or share just about your experience in our time together?
I mean, I'm so grateful, and I never really had any hesitations, but it was obviously a slam dunk and life-changing for everything. And I think when people are ready for the next level of success, like that's what you have to do. You're not going to get there on your own. You have to find that person that can hold your hand and help you. And I think sometimes I look out at other people and I just think like, I can see what's missing. I can see that they didn't have someone, and maybe it's not a mentor. I don't know what it would be, but you can see when somebody is trying to get to the next level and they're missing something. It's obvious.
Yeah. And I'd love to just kind of wrap this call. One of your wins that you shared with me was that you got clear on what your why is. And that's huge. Like it's like that's what moves and motivates us and pushes us forward. So I'd love for you, I know you're the founder, the chief taster at Culinary Hill, and you have even more bigger visions of expanding and reaching more people. But I'd love for you to just share why it is that you do what you do and with your work.
Yeah, I really want to feed the world online and in print and in person at some point. That's part of my dream, is to have this hobby farm with a cooking school on it and help people that, eat processed food all the time, learn how to make the basics so they can nourish themselves and their families. And I just really want to connect with people through food and help them do the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love it. And I love you. Thank you so much, Meggan. I really, really appreciate you, and I'm excited for us to continue our magic together.
2018 is going to be crazy.
Yes, and good.
Well, in the best possible way. I can't wait.
Yay.